Hello, this is Katherin welcoming you to the 2006 edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper for 11th of June 2015. The readers this week are Audrey, Elizabeth, Ros and me, Katherin, with Jason on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Brewer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. Local stories include The Right Man for the Job, New MP Speaks Up for Edmonton, Amended Parkgate Proposals Approved, and Boroughs Elected for 1922 Committee. Firstly, though, the two special news items this week. The first, please note that due to another event taking place at the Park Avenue Disability Centre, there will be no drop-in meeting on June the 18th. The next drop-in meeting will take place on Thursday, July the 16th, from 10:30am to 12:30pm. And the second is about our annual general meeting. The annual general meeting of the Enfield Talking newspaper will take place on Tuesday the 30th of June at 7:30pm. Refreshments will be provided. Due to room availability issues at the Park Avenue Disability Centre, this year the AGM will be held at Community House, 311 4th Street, Edmonton, London N9 OPZ. We would like as many listeners as possible to attend. We hope to provide a transport service by minibus if numbers permit. If you would like to attend the AGM and would like assistance with transport, please contact Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578, that's 020 8805 6578, and leave a message with your name and home address. If you are experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey again on 020 8805 6578. She's your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. Now, Audrey will read the first item of local news.
Quick-thinking ex-firefighter Paul Clark rescued his 85-year-old next-door neighbour from her blazing home before tackling the flames with her garden hose. The 65-year-old former fireman, who retired from the service 10 years ago, sprang into action, leaping the garden fence of his home in Ponders End after hearing his neighbour Vera Randall's screams. He had been relaxing at home in Scotland Green Road North after doing some gardening for his elderly neighbour when the fire broke out in her kitchen. He said, "All of a sudden I heard her calling out to me, 'Paul, Paul.' I could see smoke coming out of the back of the house. I jumped the fence and lost sight of Vera. I managed to grab her and pull her to safety. Then I decided to try and put the fire out by using her garden hose reel." Another neighbour, Stuart Rees, who had also been alerted by the screaming, gained access to Mrs. Randall's back garden, and using Mr. Clark's garden hose, they jointly sprayed water to extinguish the flames before the fire brigade arrived. Mrs. Randall was comforted by Mrs. Rees' wife, Leslie, while paramedics checked her over. She suffered burns to her neck and her arm and smoke inhalation and was taken to North Middlesex University Hospital for treatment. Mrs. Rees said, "We did not know what had happened at first. We are doing a collection for her. People have said they will help if she needs crockery or groceries." 4 fire engines and 21 firefighters from Enfield, Edmonton and Chingford stations tackled the blaze, which broke out after midday on Wednesday afternoon. Some of Mr. Clark's former colleagues were surprised to spot him. Chingford station officer Nick McCallum said, "I went to thank the neighbour for his efforts, and it was a pleasant surprise to see Paul standing in the garden." Clearly, nothing had been lost after 10 years of retirement. Mr. Clark retired in 2005 after 27 years in the fire service. His last job was as station officer at Enfield Fire Station in Carter Hatch Lane, where he worked for 5 years. He also worked in Finchley and was at Southgate Fire Station for 15 years. One of the major fires in hospital he tackled was the 1988 blaze at Friend Barnet Hospital.
The borough's newest MP last week told her peers that she is most honoured and proud to be the first woman representative for her constituency. Delivering her maiden speech in the House of Commons on Tuesday, the Labour and Cooperative MP for Edmonton, Kate Ossimer, paid tribute to the long line of men who had preceded her in representing the constituency and added, "I have broken that tradition of men serving as areas MP. As the first woman to represent Edmonton, I feel most honoured and proud of the responsibility bestowed upon me." As well as telling fellow MPs about the established history of her constituency, with its listed buildings and conservation areas, including 4 Street, she told her colleagues of the challenges facing her constituents after the industry that once employed thousands of locals was stripped away in the latter part of the 20th century. She said, "Much of the industry for which Edmonton was famous, furniture making, electrical goods and electronics, has disappeared or moved to greenfield sites. We do not have one dominant employer to bring an end to adult worklessness in Edmonton, but despite the lack of low-skilled jobs, Edmonton has a growing entrepreneurial spirit." She also said that the area had undergone dramatic social changes in the last few decades. Since the 1960s, Edmonton has been transformed from a predominantly white working-class industrial suburb into a multicultural area through Commonwealth immigration, asylum seekers and the expansion of the European Union in May 2004. Ms Ossimer was elected in May with 61.4% share of the vote, and she is not only the first woman to represent the constituency, but also the first person from an ethnic minority elected to the mainly safe Labour seat. She joins a total of 41 MPs of black or ethnic minority origin in the Commons.
A councillor admitted mistakes had been made over proposals to leave all park gates open. Park user groups had warned of rising crime after Enfield Council decided to leave gates at 22 parks and open spaces permanently open in an attempt to save £26,000. The decision was put on hold by former Environment Cabinet member Councillor Chris Bond, and the Council Scrutiny Committee last Tuesday approved his successor, Councillor Daniel Anderson's revised plans. These revised plans will keep 14 of 22 park gates fully locked, with the other 8 having their toilets and vehicle barriers locked, but not their pedestrian entrances. Speaking at the meeting, Councillor Anderson said, "There was a fear crime would rise in parks. The Friends of Parks that are currently fully locked were concerned that it would lead to an increase in antisocial behaviour. Park groups were generally happy with the amendments we made, with the exception of Enfield Playing Fields and Pims Park. Friends of Enfield Playing Fields were concerned by one of the entrances being left unlocked. Councillor Anderson and officers said they would work with the park group to solve the issue and potentially make an exception for the gates." Councillor Anderson revealed the council would no longer save £26,000 but close to £9,450. Friends of Enfield Park Consortium head Peter Gibbs said, "On behalf of the Friends and residents, this has been a very painful and unnecessary 8 months. Volunteers are extremely valuable, but the past 8 months have been bruising and we've had to question why this decision was made." Councillor Anderson said, "Mistakes have been made and we admit that. I understand very fully how you feel. I am sure that we have to get it right and rebuild that relationship. We need to work better with you. Mistakes will be made because we are human, but the intention is to get you on board and ensure that you are not seen as an afterthought." The Cabinet member admitted he would continue to review the decision as it came into effect. Councillor Joanne Laban added, "I welcome the partial U-turn on the issue of not locking parks at night and the apology by Councillor Anderson to the Friends of the Parks groups. I still have concerns about Enfield Playing Fields and I hope they can be addressed. Friends of the Parks groups give up their time to improve the parks they love. The Labour Council could not deliver the park service to the standard it does without their support. However, the Council, and in particular the Environment Department, has not treated them with the respect that they deserve for the work they do."
One side effect of Nick Dubois' defeat in the Enfield North constituency in last month's general election is that it created a vacancy on a powerful committee of parliamentary backbenchers. The Conservatives' 1922 committee is made up of backbench MPs, and Mr. Dubois was at the heart of this influential group. However, after Mr. Dubois' narrow defeat to Joan Ryan, David Burrows, the MP for Enfield Southgate, has been elected to the committee. The committee is seen as a barometer of rank-and-file Tory feeling, and ferment in its ranks is seen as a sign that trouble needs to be seen off before backbenchers revolt. Mr. Burrows has been elected as an executive member of the committee after serving as Tory MP for Enfield Southgate for a decade. Following his election to the group, he said, "I'm delighted to be elected to the executive of the 1922 committee. This is an important time for Parliament, with a newly elected Conservative government, but a small majority. There are key issues around membership of the EU, a fair devolution settlement, and fulfilling our pledge to be a one-nation government, which needs a strong voice from the backbenches. I look forward to being that strong voice." One of Mr. Burrows' highest-profile campaigns to date was his leading role in the campaign to oppose the legalisation of same-sex marriage, a stance that alienated even some close to him in politics, which could stand him in good stead with the committee's rebellious, non-conformist ethos.
And now for other news. Families enjoyed exploring the grounds of historic Forty Hall as it welcomed visitors to its big Sunday celebration. The event coincided with the National Big Lunch Day, which encourages people to get together and enjoy tucking into food at community events. It was also the same day as the countrywide Open Farm Sunday, so people did have the chance to look round the estate's farm, see some of the farm animals and discover more about the produce grown on the estate. Others also enjoyed listening to music, sports and historic games at the hall in Forty Hill, Enfield.
A new charity offering pampering and comfort to hospital patients has been launched by cupcake-toting volunteers. The Chase Farm charity was formally launched at Chase Farm Hospital in the Ridgeway, Enfield, last week, and it is hoped it will help provide comfort and support to patients throughout their stay in the hospital. A charity is a new arm of the Royal Free Charity, the organisation which raises funds for the Royal Free London NHS Foundation in Hampstead, which took over the running of Chase Farm last year. Bosses at the launch on Wednesday stressed that all money raised by the Chase Farm charity will go directly towards helping patients in the hospital, and it will share the ethos of its parent organisation in providing added comfort and support to patients whenever in the hospital. The NHS provides the chair and we provide the cushion, the chief executive said. The Advertiser, when asked if the charity was providing services that the NHS should be carrying out as routine. "No, we do not have to do what the NHS is legally required to do," he said, explaining that the massage therapies offered by a team of trained therapists at the Royal Free and providing slippers to older patients were examples of the way the charity works to improve the overall well-being of patients during a hospital stay. Much of the Chase Farm site is earmarked for demolition to make way for a major rebuild, and Mr. Bergs insisted that the work should be precisely the time when volunteers would be of most use, as they would be able to help patients navigate the site as the extensive redevelopment takes place. A passionate advocate of the benefit of the added extras the charity can provide is Keith Hunt, Complementary Therapy Coordinator for the Royal Free London Trust, whose massage team is funded through the charity. He told the Advertiser, "We describe the work we do with patients as a treat, not a treatment. The very specialised gentle work we do with patients, particularly the elderly, provides comfort, and every consultant in the hospital refers patients to us as they can see the benefits." In addition to the Chase Farm charity, there will be a Barnet Hospital charity dedicated to raising funds for the neighbouring hospital. Anyone who would like to help the charity can log on to www.royalfreecharity.org/events. That's www.royalfreecharity.org/events.
Children are taking action in a bid to stop parents smoking at the school gate. Pupils at Carter Hatch Junior and infant schools are the first in the borough to ask parents and visitors to avoid smoking just outside the school in Carter Hatch Lane, Enfield. The No Smoking at the Gates initiative is the brainchild of parent governor Marina Hake, and the children launched the scheme on Friday, with the day spent learning more about the health risks linked to smoking. They invited parents to the event to tell them about the scheme, which has the backing of Enfield Council. Pupils worked on projects to reinforce the message to encourage people to stop smoking, and looked at the effects of passive smoking, the health risks and the financial cost of the habit. Their work included raps, posters and fact files, along with a drama that shows the impact of peer pressure. The children also created a pledge wall in the playground featuring their views on smoking, and their messages will be moved into the school reception where it can be seen by visitors. Miss Hake said, "Although a ban on smoking at the school gates cannot be legally enforced, children will be asking their parents politely to stop smoking there. At all times, the children will be polite when they approach their parents, and we are confident that they will cooperate with the children's wishes." In case people forget, the children also unveiled a plaque reminding people to stub it out. Head teacher Paul Barraclough said everyone at the school was making a huge effort to learn about smoking and share their knowledge, adding, "I'm sure that the parents will understand and respond."
Children cannot play in a park, and their street has become a no-go area after dark because a gang has taken over. People are said to be terrified as the gang, known as Dem Africans, have become self-proclaimed kings of the street on the estate in Bedivere Road and Galahad Road, within 500 metres of Edmonton Police Station. Bilal Ahmed, who visits his partner in Bedivere Road, said, "They have taken over the area and made themselves kings of the street. They've used the green space for their own. It's terrifying for people around here. When I visit, I'm always concerned about the number of people hanging round on the street, like they are ruling the place." Mr. Ahmed claims gang members have spray-painted signs in the area with their mark and described regular scuffles between Dem Africans and the rival Get Money gang. He added, "We saw something a few weekends ago where someone was stabbed and police were down here. It's just one thing after another. No children can play in the park on the estate past 4 p.m. because it is taken over for the rest of the night." According to police.com figures for the first 4 months of 2015, there have been 121 reported crimes in the surrounding area, including 18 crimes in April in Bedivere Road alone. A total of 29 of those crimes have been violent, with another 25 being due to antisocial behaviour. A woman who asked not to be named, fearing for her safety, has lived in neighbouring Galahad Road since 1994 and said the gang numbers had grown each year. She said they dominate the area and it has been getting worse every year. We need urgent action from the police and the government because resources are very thin. In the daytime it is not so bad, but come evening it becomes a no-go zone for many people. Things have to change soon before there's another stabbing.
Pupils joined the conga line as an Enfield primary school threw a tea dance for old folk last week. It was just part of the fun enjoyed by both young and old at the Over 60s tea dance organised by the Parents' Forum of Suffolk School in Brick Lane. The parents, together with pupils and staff, raised the money for the event, the forum's first, with the proceeds of a cake sale at the school. The event last Friday was a resounding success, with the school breaking out its best china tea service for its guests. Pupils entertained them with a gangster granny dance based on the children's book before everyone took to the dance floor. The youngsters also sat at the tables and chatted with their elderly guests, several of whom had attended the school themselves half a century ago, and old albums of photographs of the school kept. Both past and present day pupils were quite fascinated. The forum wanted to get the school involved in doing something for the local community and came up with the idea for a tea dance, said head teacher Andrea Cassius. They distributed invitations by leafleting the local area. The school is underrepresented by over 60s and we don't have many grannies or granddads of the children involved, so this was a way of connecting with them. It is something the forum is now intending staging every year.
Residents are being offered rewards to help the council track down and prosecute fly tippers to stop them creating grot spots in Enfield. A £200 reward for anyone who provides information leading to successful prosecutions has been offered by Enfield Council in a bid to clamp down on the problem. The council spends about £4.3 million a year on street cleansing, with 4 full-time fly tipping removal teams dedicated to clearing up rubbish dumped around the borough. It aims to remove rubbish within 4 hours from the time of its reported, but it has to deal with several thousand incidents every year, a spokesman said. Daniel Anderson, Cabinet Member for Environment, said, "We have an elective responsibility as a community to keep our borough clean, and we all need to play our part in making sure it stays tidy. That's why we want residents to join forces with us and name names. We want them to help us to expose those who are fouling our environment by fly tipping on our streets and parklands. And the best way to report fly tipping is through our website. By working together, we can track down and prosecute those people intent on ruining our environment, and also make sure that fly tips that do occur are reported and removed promptly. Suspected fly tippers can be reported at enviro.crime at enfield.gov.uk. I'll repeat that. That's enviro.crime at enfield.gov.uk. And details of any grot spots and other street cleansing issues can be logged at that address. Rewards will be paid to residents after a successful prosecution, and people are being encouraged to tweet under the hashtag Keeping Enfield Clean.
King John, resplendent in crown and royal regalia, will sign the Magna Carta in Enfield next week in a special reenactment of the historic event. Chase Green Memorial Gardens off Chase Side will double as Runnymede in Surrey, where the original charter was signed, as Enfield Council commemorates the 800th anniversary of the creation of the document, which has become a symbol of liberty. The event is one of 2 being held in the borough to mark the signing of the peace treaty between the unpopular monarch and rebellious barons back in 1215. Today, the document is seen as the cornerstone of the development of constitutional law and the guarantor of cherished freedoms. The reenactment at 2 p.m. on Monday will be followed by the launch of photo, art and poetry competitions for all ages, themed around the Magna Carta and liberty, with cash prizes for the winners. And on Saturday, July the 11th at 6:30 p.m, an evening of poetry and music on the themes of liberty and personal freedom, led by local poet John Murray, will be held at Enfield's Jacobean Mansion, 40 Hall in 40 Hill. With poems, songs and instrumental works ranging from Shakespeare, Milton and George Herbert to the modern age, it promises to be a fascinating and entertaining evening. Achilles Georgiou, the deputy leader of the council, said, "The Magna Carta is such an important historical event that we really want to bring heritage alive for residents. We hope that these exciting events, all based on the signing of the Magna Carta, will do this. We especially hope for a good turnout at the reenactment on June the 15th and urge people to get involved with the photo, art and poetry competitions. We want everyone to get involved so that older residents and newcomers share common pride in local history."
A road has been dubbed a nightmare after temporary yellow lines were left in place for more than a year. People living in Alpha Road, Upper Edmonton, say they were told by Enfield Council that yellow lines painted across a stretch of more than a third of the road would only be in place while the Highmead estate was under construction. The estate was finished more than 3 months ago, and new residents have moved in, but the lines remain. Amit Rambojan of Alpha Road has been left without a parking space and was fined £55 for parking his car outside his home. He told the Enfield Independent, "These were meant to be temporary, and the road is an utter nightmare to park in. I often have to leave my van in roads quite far from my home, and I need to be close by to bring things in and out of the house. My girlfriend with our children cannot park nearby at all. It is not acceptable." Those living in the road received a letter at the start of the multi-million-pound redevelopment stating the lines would be removed once the buildings were finished. Mr. Rambajan added, "It has caused unrest in the road between neighbours about where they have left their car. The area already has a high level of tension, and this is not helping that. We now have more people living in the area and even less parking. It is ridiculous and a money-making scheme for the council." An Enfield Council spokesman said, "These double yellow lines, which were placed to ensure safety during the construction of the Highmead site, need to remain in place until the beginning of July to allow free access to the site for larger vehicles while the final construction activities are completed. They will then be removed. We apologise to residents for any inconvenience caused while these lines remain in place."
Men accused of the Hatton Garden jewellery heist asked a judge to join them for a cup of tea in Belmarsh. The men were due to appear via video link at Southwark Crown Court, but technical problems caused a delay before a date could be set for the three men to make their plea. Following a struggle to get the video link established, Terry Perkins, 67, of Heen Road, Enfield, asked Judge Alistair McCreath to come to Belmarsh for a cup of tea. Mr. Perkins, as well as Daniel Jones, 58, of Park Avenue, Enfield, and Hugh Doyle, 48, of Riverside Gardens, Enfield, were told by the judge their plea will be made on September the 4th. The trio are charged with conspiracy to burgle, along with Carl Wood, 58, of Elderbeck Close, Cheshunt, John Collins, 74, of Blestow Walk, Hoxton, and William Lincoln, 59, of Winkley Street, Bethnal Green, and 76-year-old Brian Reeder of Dartford Road, Dartford, and Paul Rader, 50, of the same address. John Harbison, 42, of Benfleet, Essex, who is also charged with conspiracy to burgle, was refused bail. All 9 suspects have been remanded in custody at Belmarsh until the date in September. A venue will be arranged on June the 17th by representatives of the defendants and Judge McCreath. Police raided homes across Enfield, East London and Kent last month following the theft of an estimated £200 million worth of diamonds and money from underground vaults at the Hatton Garden Safe Deposit Company over Easter.
We have reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2.